Mourners line the street, numbering in the thousands. Diana touched the lives of so many in her 36 years, and people of all backgrounds take her loss heavily.
In a stunning development that has sent shockwaves through royal circles, Queen Camilla has reportedly made the unprecedented decision to directly challenge the late Queen Elizabeth's final wishes regarding Princess Diana's legacy. This shocking move has united Diana's sons, Prince William and Prince Harry, in outrage despite their ongoing estrangement. Palace insiders reveal that both princes are furious at their stepmother's actions, creating a family crisis that threatens to undermine King Charles's efforts to project stability in his reign. What exactly has Camilla done that has so angered Diana's sons, and why would she risk such a controversial stance? The royal directive ignored. According to sources with direct knowledge of the situation, before her death, Queen Elizabeth left specific instructions regarding several royal residences, collections, and heirlooms that had connections to Princess Diana. These instructions included provisions for preserving Diana's personal effects, maintaining certain memorials, and ensuring her grandchildren would have access to items that belonged to their mother. The late Queen was extremely thorough in her planning, revealed one former palace official. She understood that Diana's legacy remained a sensitive topic and wanted to ensure everything was handled with appropriate respect after her passing. Among these directives was the stipulation that Diana's former apartments at Kensington Palace would be preserved in their historical context, with certain rooms maintained as they were during her residence there. Additionally, specific jewelry pieces that had been worn by Diana and returned to the royal collection were to be reserved for use by Kate, Princess of Wales, and eventually, Princess Charlotte. However, palace insiders claim that Camilla has systematically begun dismantling these arrangements, beginning with the redecoration of spaces in Kensington Palace that were specifically covered by Elizabeth's directives. Camilla has made it clear she wants a clean slate, said one royal household source. She's instructed staff to refresh areas that were explicitly meant to be preserved, and has begun using jewelry pieces that were designated for Kate and Charlotte. William's measured fury. For Prince William, this situation represents a particularly difficult challenge. As heir to the throne, he's been careful to maintain public unity with his father and Camilla, while privately harboring strong feelings about his mother's legacy and how it should be honored. William is absolutely livid, but he's trapped in an impossible position, claimed one source close to the Prince of Wales. He can't publicly criticize the king's wife without creating a constitutional problem. But he views Camilla's actions as a direct attack on his mother's memory. According to multiple sources, William has attempted to address the issue through proper channels, requesting formal meetings with his father to discuss what he views as violations of his grandmother's wishes. These meetings have reportedly been tense, with Charles caught between loyalty to his wife and understanding his son's perspective. Most concerning to William, according to those familiar with his thinking, is what he perceives as Camilla's attempt to gradually erase Diana's presence from royal history. He allegedly told a close confidant, "First it's redecorating rooms, then it's wearing her jewelry. Soon it will be as if my mother never existed in these spaces at all." William's staff has reportedly been instructed to carefully document all changes being made that contradict Elizabeth's wishes, creating what one insider described as an accounting of grievances that may eventually require intervention from the Privy Council if the situation continues to deteriorate. Harry's public outrage. While William's response has been measured by his position and proximity, Prince Harry has reportedly been far more direct in his objections. From his home in California, Harry has allegedly sent a strongly worded private letter to both his father and Camilla expressing his disgust at what he views as disrespect, not only to his mother, but also to his grandmother's final wishes. Harry isn't constrained by the same considerations as William, explained one source familiar with both brothers. He's made it clear that if Camilla continues down this path, he's prepared to make the entire situation public, including specific details about Queen Elizabeth's directives. This threat of public exposure is particularly concerning to palace officials, who fear that Harry could use his media connections and platform to create another royal crisis, just as Charles has begun to stabilize his reign. The specific mention of Queen Elizabeth's wishes adds another dimension, as the late monarch remains deeply revered by the British public. According to those close to Harry, he views this situation as validation of concerns he has expressed for years about Camilla's influence and intentions. One friend reported that Harry said, "This is exactly what I warned everyone about. The moment she had the power, she began using it to erase my mother. It's vindication in the worst possible way." The items in dispute. At the center of this royal conflict are several specific items and spaces that hold deep significance in Diana's story. Palace sources have identified several key points of contention. Diana's former apartment at Kensington Palace, which Camilla has allegedly begun modernizing, despite directives that certain rooms be preserved in their historical state. The Spencer tiara, which Diana wore on her wedding day. Though technically owned by the Spencer family, arrangements had been made for it to be displayed in a royal collection dedicated to Diana's memory. A collection of sapphire jewelry that matched Diana's famous engagement ring, now worn by Kate. Queen Elizabeth had designated these pieces for Charlotte when she comes of age. Personal correspondence between Diana and Queen Elizabeth, which was to remain sealed until William and Harry mutually agreed to its release. Camilla has reportedly requested access to these letters. A suite at Sandringham that Diana had decorated and used when the family spent Christmas there, which Camilla has allegedly converted into a new space for her own grandchildren. These might seem like small things to outsiders, but they represent physical connections to Diana that her sons value deeply, explained one former royal household member. By changing or claiming these spaces and items, Camilla is effectively overwriting Diana's presence in royal history. Charles caught in the middle for King Charles. This situation represents a painful dilemma that forces him to choose between his wife and his sons. Sources close to the monarch describe him as deeply distressed by the conflict, particularly as it involves honoring the wishes of his late mother, while also supporting his current wife. Charles genuinely wants to heal his family, but he's caught between irreconcilable positions, said one longtime royal advisor. Camilla feels she has earned the right to establish herself fully as queen without Diana's shadow constantly looming, while William and Harry feel their mother's memory is being deliberately diminished. The king has reportedly attempted to broker a compromise, suggesting that certain items and spaces could be preserved as Elizabeth wished, while others could be updated or repurposed. However, this middle ground approach has satisfied neither side, with Camilla reportedly insisting on her prerogatives as queen and the princes standing firm on respecting their grandmother's explicit wishes. Most concerning for Charles is how this conflict might affect his relationship with William, whose support is essential for the stability of the monarchy. One source claimed to have overheard William telling his father, "You're putting me in an impossible position. I cannot and will not stand by while my mother's memory is erased from our family history." The Queen's detailed instructions. What makes this situation particularly problematic is the reportedly explicit nature of Queen Elizabeth's instructions. According to those familiar with the documents, Elizabeth left detailed guidance rather than vague suggestions, having anticipated potential tensions over Diana's legacy. The late Queen was extremely precise in her directives, explained one former palace official. She specified exactly which items were to be preserved, which spaces were to be maintained, and how Diana should be represented in family histories and exhibitions. There's very little room for interpretation. Elizabeth's foresight on this matter reflects her deep understanding of the complexities surrounding Diana's place in royal history. Having witnessed the public and private aftermath of Diana's death and the complicated integration of Camilla into the royal family, the late Queen apparently sought to establish clear boundaries that would prevent exactly the type of conflict currently unfolding. Most significantly, Elizabeth allegedly included a personal letter to Charles, emphasizing the importance of honoring these wishes as part of maintaining public trust in the monarchy. According to those who have seen this letter, Elizabeth specifically noted that respecting Diana's legacy was essential for William and Harry's continued support of the institution. The United Brothers. Perhaps the most remarkable aspect of this royal drama is how it has temporarily bridged the well-documented rift between William and Harry. Sources close to both princes report that they have been in regular contact regarding Camilla's actions, setting aside their other differences to present a unified front on this specific issue. Diana remains the one thing that can still unite them instantly, observed one longtime family friend. Whatever their disagreements about everything else They are absolutely aligned when it comes to protecting their mother's memory and legacy. This unexpected alliance has reportedly taken the palace by surprise, as officials had become accustomed to managing William and Harry as separate entities with different concerns. The prospect of them working in tandem on this issue presents a formidable challenge to Camilla's position, and Charles's attempt to balance competing interests. According to one source, William and Harry recently held a video call specifically to coordinate their response to Camilla's actions. While they continue to differ on many issues, including Harry's public criticisms of the institution, they have agreed to stand together in insisting that Queen Elizabeth's wishes regarding their mother be honored without compromise. Public perception at stake. Beyond the personal dimensions of this conflict lies the broader question of public perception. Royal analysts note that Diana remains an enormously popular figure in public memory, while Camilla has worked for decades to overcome initial public resistance to her relationship with Charles and her eventual position as queen. This is potentially disastrous from a public relations perspective, noted one royal commentator. If the public perceives Camilla as disrespecting Diana's memory or overriding Queen Elizabeth's wishes, it could undo years of careful image rehabilitation. Early indications suggest the public is largely sympathetic to William and Harry's position. Social media reactions to rumors of the dispute have been overwhelmingly supportive of Diana's sons, with many commenters expressing dismay at what they view as Camilla's overreach. For a monarchy still adjusting to the transition from Elizabeth's 70-year reign to Charles's leadership, this family conflict represents a significant challenge to the narrative of stability and continuity that palace officials have been carefully constructing. What's it really like inside Buckingham Palace? For Princess Anne, the experience was not always as glamorous as it seems. While the palace represents royal grandeur, for Anne, it was often a place of tension, loneliness, and frustration. In her recent emotional farewell, she offered a rare glimpse into her life behind the palace walls, shattering the illusion of royal perfection. What she revealed about her time there might surprise you, and it's not the fairy tale life that the world imagines. Anne's perspective provides a new understanding of what it means to live under the shadow of the monarchy, offering a candid look at the struggles that many royals face but seldom speak about. Anne didn't hold back in her reflections, revealing that the life of luxury associated with Buckingham Palace often came at the cost of personal freedom. The pressure of being a royal meant constantly living under the public's microscope, and Anne spoke about the personal toll this took. She explained how, despite being surrounded by wealth and privilege, there was always an emotional void. Anne's decision to leave the palace is a powerful statement about the complexities of royal life that go beyond public perception. It's easy to look at the grandeur of Buckingham Palace and imagine a life of ease, but Anne's experience was filled with sacrifices and struggles that few could understand. What Anne's farewell makes clear is that being a member of the royal family often means being trapped in a gilded cage. The expectations placed on royals to maintain a perfect image are immense, and for Anne, it became unbearable. She admitted that while the palace offered the finest things in life, it also demanded much more than she was willing to give. Her words shed light on the emotional toll of being royalty, where duty and public image often take precedence over personal happiness. Was Princess Anne finally breaking free from this cycle, or was she simply reclaiming her voice after years of being silenced by tradition? Anne's candid reflections have sent shockwaves through the royal world, as they challenge the widely held belief that the palace life is one of ease and indulgence. She revealed a side of her life that few outsiders had ever known. It wasn't just about leaving Buckingham Palace, it was about taking back control over her own life and identity. The public has long been fascinated by the royal family's carefully crafted image, but Anne's openness has shattered that image, exposing the deep personal cost of being part of one of the world's most famous families. So what does this mean for the future of the royal family? Anne's words have created a ripple effect, prompting many to reconsider their views on the monarchy. Could this be the first step toward change within the royal family? Only time will tell. But one thing is certain: Princess Anne's story will never be the same again. Secret struggles at Buckingham Palace revealed. Princess Anne's farewell to Buckingham Palace wasn't just a goodbye. It was an admission of the secret struggles she faced living within its walls. For decades, the public viewed Anne as the steady, unflappable royal. never one to show weakness or vulnerability. But in her emotional speech, Anne peeled back the curtain and revealed what life inside the palace really cost her. Behind the polished image of a dutiful royal was a woman who felt confined, isolated, and constantly under pressure. What led Anne to finally expose these deeply personal struggles? And what does this mean for the future of the monarchy? In her farewell speech, Anne admitted that the pressures of royal life often made her feel as though she was living in a bubble. While Buckingham Palace is a symbol of tradition and history, it also came with its own set of challenges. Anne revealed that, despite the beauty and prestige of the palace, she often felt trapped by the expectations placed upon her. It was as though the weight of royal duty was constantly bearing down on her, leaving little room for personal growth or happiness. The isolation Anne felt within the palace walls was palpable, and for the first time, she allowed the world to see this vulnerable side of her. What was most shocking about Anne's revelation was how much she had sacrificed over the years. While the public saw her as the strong, reliable royal, Anne's internal battle was one of emotional strain and exhaustion. She spoke openly about the loneliness she faced, despite being surrounded by family and staff. Buckingham Palace, which was supposed to be her home, often felt more like a prison. In revealing this, Anne shattered the perception that royals have everything they could ever want. Her truth opens up a new conversation about the hidden emotional toll of being a royal. Anne's emotional speech also highlighted the immense pressure that comes with being part of the royal family. She shared that the constant scrutiny, the public's expectations, and the need to maintain a perfect image were all-consuming. But despite all of this, Anne confessed that there was a part of her that always longed for a simpler life. One where she could live without the weight of the monarchy hanging over her. Anne's farewell was a deeply personal reflection on the sacrifices she had made and the toll it had taken on her over the years. In sharing her struggles, Princess Anne has opened the door to a deeper understanding of what it means to live as a member of the royal family. Her decision to finally speak out is a courageous step that may inspire others within the monarchy to also share their truths. What will this mean for the future of the royal family? Only time will tell, but Princess Anne's revelations have already begun to shift the conversation in ways no one could have anticipated. Why could this change royal history? Princess Anne's decision to leave Buckingham Palace is one that will undoubtedly echo through royal history. But why did she make this unprecedented move? And what does it mean for the monarchy's future? In her farewell speech, Anne made it clear that her decision wasn't just about seeking peace. It was about challenging the very structure of the monarchy itself. For the first time in history, a royal of Princess Anne's stature is questioning the monarchy's traditional values and its grip on her life. This bombshell announcement could reshape the future of the royal family in ways that no one expected. Princess Anne's departure is far from a simple exit. It's a symbolic act of defiance. For decades, the monarchy has been built on a foundation of tradition, duty, and control. But Anne's decision suggests that the royals may not be as invincible as they once seemed. Anne's words struck a nerve, as they called into question the very system that has governed the royal family for centuries. Could this be the beginning of a larger movement within the monarchy to modernize and adapt to the changing times? If Princess Anne's exit is any indication, the royal family might soon face an existential crisis that could force it to evolve or risk losing its relevance. The implications of Anne's decision are far-reaching. For years, the royal family has been seen as an institution that is above reproach. But Anne's bold farewell shows that even the most stalwart members of the royal household can feel the weight of tradition and the burden of duty. What does this mean for the future of the monarchy? Could we see more royals speaking out or stepping away from their royal roles in the future? Princess Anne's farewell has opened the floodgates for a larger conversation about the role of the monarchy in modern society. As the world digests Anne's shocking announcement, it's clear that the monarchy is at a crossroads. Will Princess Anne's decision to leave Buckingham Palace inspire a new era for the royal family, one that embraces change and transparency? Or will it serve as a reminder of the challenges and struggles that even royals face when living in the public eye? Only time will reveal what comes next, but one thing is certain. Princess Anne's decision will forever alter the course of royal history. The hidden princess. Anne's emotional departure from Buckingham Palace has sent shockwaves through the royal family. But behind her heartfelt farewell lies a hidden truth that the public has never known. Until now. Anne's decision wasn't just about leaving a building. It was about leaving behind a system that had long dictated her life. Her words uncovered the raw emotions that have been building for years, offering an inside look into what life inside Buckingham Palace is really like. Was Anne's decision driven by personal dissatisfaction, or was there something more at play? This shocking revelation challenges everything we thought we knew about royal life. In her speech, Anne confessed that her decision to leave was a long time coming. Despite being a respected member of the royal family, she had always felt like an outsider in her own home. Buckingham Palace, despite its grandeur, had become a place where Anne felt increasingly isolated and disconnected. Her words hinted that the palace had long been a symbol of duty and sacrifice, but not of personal happiness. Could it be that Anne's emotional departure is a statement against the monarchy's rigid structure? If so, what does this mean for other royals who may feel similarly trapped by tradition? Anne's farewell marks a turning point in how we view the royal family's internal dynamics. While the world may have thought of Anne as the dutiful royal who followed the rules, her words have shown us a woman who is ready to break free from the expectations placed upon her. This is not just a story about a royal departure. It's a story about reclaiming one's life and identity in the face of overwhelming pressure. As Princess Anne steps away from Buckingham Palace, she leaves behind a legacy that could change the way we view royalty forever. So, what does this mean for the future of the royal family? Anne's decision to leave has created a ripple effect that will be felt for generations. Her willingness to speak out and take control of her own destiny may inspire others within the monarchy to do the same. Will we see more royals breaking away from their roles, or is Princess Anne's departure a one-time act of defiance? Only time will tell. But one thing is for sure. Princess Anne's farewell will go down in history as one of the most surprising and impactful moments in royal history. What this means for the royal family. Princess Anne's departure from Buckingham Palace is not just a personal moment. It's a symbol of a much deeper shift within the royal family. For centuries, the monarchy has been seen as a monolithic institution, with members expected to follow strict protocols and carry out their royal duties with little room for personal choices. But Anne's emotional farewell hints at a broader change that is bubbling beneath the surface. Could her decision to leave represent the first crack in the royal facade, a sign that the royal family is finally confronting the immense pressures of modern life? Anne's farewell is not just about her stepping down from a royal role. It is an invitation to reconsider how the monarchy functions in the 21st century. In an age where personal autonomy and mental health are gaining more recognition, Anne's words suggest that even the royals are not immune to the struggles that many of us face. The world has long admired the royal family for its strength, poise, and tradition. But Anne's departure reminds us that even they have their limits. Could this be the first step in a larger evolution of the monarchy? A shift where individual needs are placed alongside royal duties. What makes Anne's exit so compelling is how it intersects with the struggles that many of the younger royals have been quietly facing in recent years. From Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's decision to step away from royal duties to the increased scrutiny placed on younger generations, there is a growing sense that the monarchy may be on the verge of a major transformation. Anne's farewell has opened the door for future conversations about what it means to be a royal in the modern age. And in doing so, she has set a precedent that may influence how the next generation of royals approach their roles. Despite the shockwave caused by Anne's words, one has to wonder how much of this is tied to her personal experience, and how much of it reflects a larger desire for change within the royal family. Anne's life has been marked by a deep sense of duty, but her emotional farewell suggests that even she has struggled with the weight of tradition. It's a moment that calls for reflection, not only for Anne, but for all of us as we consider the evolving nature of royalty, leadership, and individual freedom. In the end, Princess Anne's departure isn't just about her leaving Buckingham Palace. It's a symbol of change, a challenge to the status quo, and a call for deeper conversations about how the royal family can adapt to the modern world while still honoring its history. The future of the monarchy is in flux, and Anne's bold decision may have been the catalyst that sparks a much-needed dialogue about the personal lives of royals and their ability to forge their own paths. Princess Anne's emotional farewell to Buckingham Palace has left an indelible mark on the royal family's history. Her decision to step away is a powerful statement that challenges the very foundation of royal life as we know it. But what does it mean for the future of the monarchy? Will other royals follow in her footsteps, or is this a unique moment of defiance that will forever change how we see the family? As the royal world processes Anne's shocking words, one thing is clear: the monarchy will never be the same again. Do you think Princess Anne's decision will inspire other royals to break free from tradition? Or will the royal family close ranks and continue with business as usual? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this explosive look into Princess Anne's life and the royal family's internal struggles, don't forget to hit the like button, share this video, and subscribe for more eye-opening royal revelations. You won't want to miss the next story. We have more shocking updates coming soon.
Can't mimic voices for love or money. I'm completely hopeless at it. I was the only one, so I think she carved her own role.
Queen Camilla's rise to prominence as King Charles III's wife has been one of the most talked about transformations in modern royal history. Before her marriage to Charles in 2005, Camilla was married to Andrew Parker Bowles, a former member of the British military. Together, they had 2 children, Tom Parker Bowles and Laura Lopes. While Tom often draws attention for his culinary career and occasional public appearances, Laura has remained far more private, choosing to stay out of the royal spotlight as much as possible. However, recent revelations by Laura have shocked royal observers and the public alike, as she spoke candidly about her mother's controversial journey to the throne and the impact it had on her personal and professional life. Her story sheds light on the unique struggles she faced as someone pulled into the royal fold without choice, offering an intimate perspective rarely shared by those adjacent to the monarchy. Laura Lopes was born on January 1, 1978, into a world of British upper-class privilege, but far removed from royal traditions. As the daughter of Camilla and Andrew Parker Bowles, Laura grew up in an environment of wealth and status, attending Haywood Preparatory School and later pursuing a degree in the history of art at Oxford Brookes University. During her formative years, Laura lived a relatively normal, albeit privileged life with her brother Tom. However, even during her childhood, the whispers and rumors surrounding her mother's relationship with Charles began to seep into her reality. The media's relentless coverage of Camilla as the other woman in Charles and Diana's marriage created an unwanted shadow over Laura's life. Friends, teachers, and even strangers would make assumptions about her based solely on her mother's public image. For a young girl trying to understand the complexities of relationships and trust, these experiences forced her to mature quickly. Laura has described her formative years as turbulent, marked by a deep tension between her mother's devotion to family and the public perception of her as a villain. The divorce of her parents in 1995, fueled by years of rumors about Camilla's affair with Charles, was another difficult chapter for Laura. Though shielded from the media as much as possible, she couldn't escape the indirect effects of the public scrutiny that engulfed her family. Yet through it all, Laura maintained a strong bond with her mother. She admired Camilla's ability to remain composed and resilient, even when she was one of the most criticized figures in the British press. When Camilla married Charles in 2005, Laura's life changed dramatically. Unlike Prince William and Prince Harry, who were born into royalty and grew up under the spotlight, Laura was thrust into the royal world as an adult. This abrupt transition was far from easy. While her mother embraced her new role as Duchess of Cornwall, Laura found herself struggling to reconcile her private life with the expectations of her new royal connections. Attending public events with her mother and stepfather brought an overwhelming amount of attention she never sought. She often felt out of place, especially during high-profile events where royal protocols clashed with her desire to remain in the background. One of the most fascinating aspects of Laura's story is her relationship with her stepbrothers, Prince William and Prince Harry. Their interactions have been described as polite, but distant. It is no secret that William and Harry have struggled with their father's relationship with Camilla. Both princes have spoken openly about the pain caused by their parents' divorce and Charles's affair, which undoubtedly created a natural barrier between them and Laura. According to reports, heated arguments occasionally broke out between Laura and William in the early years after Camilla and Charles's marriage. William, feeling protective of his late mother, Princess Diana, would sometimes criticize Camilla, blaming her for his mother's unhappiness. Laura, fiercely loyal to her own mother, would push back, arguing that Charles's actions had caused just as much difficulty for her family. These disagreements highlight how both William and Laura coped with the emotional fallout of their parents' past, but from very different perspectives. Despite these tensions, Laura has largely avoided engaging in any public disputes. Unlike Harry, who has been vocal about his grievances with the royal family, Laura has chosen to stay silent, focusing on her own life and career. However, the release of Harry's memoir, Spare, reignited old wounds. In the book, Harry described Queen Camilla as a dangerous figure who prioritized her public image over the well-being of others. While Laura did not directly respond to Harry's claims, reports suggest she was deeply hurt by the accusations. The fallout from the memoir has added another layer of complexity to Laura's relationship with her stepbrothers, making an already fragile dynamic even more strained. Professionally, Laura has built an impressive career as an art gallerist, establishing her independence from the royal family. She worked at prestigious institutions, including the Peggy Guggenheim Collection in Venice, and later co-founded 11 Gallery in London, which focuses on promoting emerging artists. Her work in the art world has allowed her to carve out her own identity, separate from her royal connections. Friends describe Laura as independent, grounded, and uninterested in the trappings of royalty. Even after her mother became queen consort, Laura continued to prioritize her career and family, avoiding the spotlight whenever possible. In her personal life, Laura has also sought stability and privacy. She married Harry Lopes, a former model and chartered accountant, in 2006. Their wedding, held at St. Cyriac's Church in Wiltshire, was attended by members of both the Parker Bowles and royal families. Laura's choice of Anna Valentine to design her wedding dress, a nod to the same designer who created Camilla's bridal gown for her marriage to Charles, highlighted her quiet connection to her mother. Together, Laura and Harry have 3 children, Eliza, and twin boys Gus and Lewis. Laura has been fiercely protective of her children, determined to give them as normal an upbringing as possible. While Eliza briefly entered the public eye as a bridesmaid at Prince William and Kate Middleton's wedding in 2011, Laura has largely kept her family away from royal events. Her focus has been on creating a grounded and private life for her children, free from the pressures of their royal connections. Despite her efforts to remain private, Laura's ties to the royal family inevitably draw her into the public eye from time to time. She has attended significant events, including the coronation of King Charles III and Queen Camilla in 2023, where her twin sons served as pages of honor. The boys' participation was a poignant moment, symbolizing the blending of Camilla's old and new family. Yet, even on such occasions, Laura's discomfort with public attention is apparent. Insiders note that while she fulfills her duties gracefully, she often remains on the periphery, avoiding unnecessary interactions with key royal figures. Laura's relationship with her mother is one of the most compelling aspects of her story. While she deeply admires Camilla's resilience and ability to overcome public criticism, Laura has also acknowledged the challenges their family faced as a result of Camilla's role in Charles's life. Camilla's decision to fully embrace her royal duties created a sense of distance between mother and daughter, depriving them of the simpler, more private moments they once shared. Yet, through it all, their bond remains strong. Laura has been described as one of Camilla's closest confidants, a voice of reason and support during difficult times. Royal insiders even claim that Laura is the only person Camilla truly fears, highlighting the depth of their relationship and the mutual respect they share. The media's relentless focus on Laura has been a source of frustration for her. Every significant event in her life, from her marriage to the births of her children, has been closely scrutinized by the British press. Laura has expressed frustration that her achievements are often overshadowed by her mother's history and the controversies surrounding the royal family. She has worked tirelessly to build a life defined by her own merits, but her connection to Queen Camilla and King Charles III continues to complicate her efforts to remain private. Adding to her challenges, Laura's professional ventures have not always been smooth. Her fashion boutique, Mojo & McCoy, which she co-founded with friends, recently closed after facing difficulties in the retail industry. The boutique, located in Hungerford, was initially seen as a promising business, stocking high-end brands and catering to the affluent local community. However, despite Laura's best efforts, the store struggled to stay afloat. Reports suggest that Laura may seek advice from King Charles before embarking on a new business venture, as she has been impressed by his ability to navigate tough situations. This acknowledgement of Charles's guidance highlights the evolving dynamic between Laura and her stepfather, as well as her willingness to lean on him for support when needed. Laura's future remains a subject of speculation. While rumors occasionally surface about the possibility of her and her brother Tom receiving royal titles, both have firmly denied such claims. Laura has made it clear that she has no interest in becoming a public figure or taking on formal royal duties. Instead, she continues to focus on her family, her art career, and her desire to lead a life that is as normal and private as possible. Yet, as the daughter of Queen Camilla, Laura's attempts to separate herself from the royal family may never fully succeed. Her presence at key events and her role as a supportive daughter and mother ensure that she will always remain connected to the monarchy in some way.
You didn't believe she was dead?
For a long time. I just refused to accept that she was gone.
For decades, the world believed they knew the truth about Princess Diana's tragic death. A terrible car accident in Paris, caused by a drunk driver and pursuing paparazzi. The people's princess, taken too soon in a senseless tragedy. But now, a shocking revelation has turned that narrative upside down, leaving the British royal family and the entire world reeling. What could possibly be more devastating than the original tragedy? The truth behind what really happened that fateful night in Paris is more unimaginable than anyone could have suspected. The shocking revelation. On a rainy Tuesday morning in London, crowds gathered outside the Old Bailey, Britain's central criminal court, as rumors swirled about a secret trial that had been conducted behind closed doors. Security was unprecedented, with armed officers creating a perimeter around the building and all electronic devices banned from the proceedings. When the Lord Chief Justice emerged to address the waiting press, his face was ashen. "Today, I must deliver news of such gravity that it will forever alter our understanding of recent British history," he began, his voice wavering slightly. Following a trial conducted with the highest security protocols, evidence has been presented that has led to the conviction of a member of the royal family in connection with the death of Diana, Princess of Wales. The crowd fell silent as the impossible words hung in the air. The justice continued. Prince Harry, Duke of Sussex, has been found guilty of conspiracy to commit murder in the death of his mother. The sentence is life imprisonment without possibility of parole. The world stood still. How could this possibly be true? Diana's youngest son, who had been just 12 years old when she died, convicted of orchestrating her murder. It defied comprehension. The evidence uncovered. As details emerged in the following days, the story became even more bizarre and disturbing. The case had begun unraveling 3 years earlier, when a former MI6 agent, terminally ill with pancreatic cancer, had come forward with a deathbed confession. He claimed to have knowledge of a long-term operation that had been hidden from all but the highest levels of British intelligence. According to recently declassified documents, the agent had provided investigators with encrypted files that contained surveillance recordings, financial transactions, and communication logs dating back to 1997. Most disturbing were a series of coded messages allegedly sent from a young Harry to unknown operatives in Paris in the weeks before Diana's death. Forensic accountants had traced a series of complex financial transactions through offshore accounts that appeared to link the young prince to payments made to several individuals who were in Paris the night Diana died. Computer experts testified that the encryption used in these communications matched protocols that would have only been known to someone with access to royal security briefings. Perhaps most damning was newly enhanced security footage from the Ritz Hotel in Paris that appeared to show Harry, disguised and wearing a prosthetic facial feature, meeting with Henri Paul, the driver who would later crash the car carrying Diana and Dodi Fayed. Facial recognition experts testified with 99.7% certainty that despite the disguise, the individual was Harry. The impossible timeline. But how could a 12-year-old boy possibly have orchestrated such a complex plot? This question dominated headlines worldwide as royal experts and criminal psychologists attempted to make sense of the conviction. The prosecution's case, portions of which were now being leaked to the press, presented a timeline that seemed impossible. They alleged that Harry, far from being the traumatized child the world had sympathized with, had been a calculating prodigy who harbored deep resentment toward his mother for her relationship with Dodi Fayed and her increasingly independent stance from the royal family. Psychologists brought in by the prosecution painted a picture of a disturbed child who, despite his youth, had access to resources and connections that most adults could never imagine. They claimed he had been diagnosed with a rare condition that accelerated cognitive development while dampening emotional and moral reasoning, essentially creating a child with the intellectual capabilities of an adult, but without fully developed empathy. The defense had vehemently rejected this characterization, bringing their own experts who testified that such a psychological profile was pure fiction, and that the prosecution's timeline was physically impossible. They pointed out that Harry had been at Balmoral Castle in Scotland with his father and brother when Diana died, a fact confirmed by numerous royal staff and security personnel. The royal family's response. As the details of the conviction became public, Buckingham Palace remained in lockdown. King Charles III, Harry's father, had reportedly collapsed upon hearing the verdict and was under medical supervision. Prince William, now heir to the throne, had cancelled all public appearances indefinitely. After 3 days of silence, the palace finally issued a brief statement. The royal family acknowledges the verdict delivered by the court. This is a time of profound shock and grief as we attempt to understand these disturbing allegations. We ask for privacy as we process these events and determine appropriate next steps. No further statements will be made at this time. The statement was notable for what it didn't say. There was no defense of Harry, no questioning of the verdict, no expression of support for the convicted prince. This omission led to immediate speculation that the royal family had prior knowledge of the investigation, or perhaps even believed in Harry's guilt. Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, who had been in California with the couple's children during the secret trial, was reportedly under protection at an undisclosed location. Sources close to her claimed she was utterly devastated and in complete disbelief, having had no knowledge of the trial until the verdict was announced. Public disbelief and conspiracy theories. The public reaction worldwide was one of stunned disbelief, followed quickly by skepticism. How could such a massive conspiracy have remained hidden for decades? How could a child have orchestrated such a complex plot? And why would Harry have wanted his beloved mother dead? Social media exploded with conspiracy theories, many suggesting that Harry was being framed, perhaps by elements within the royal family or British intelligence, who feared what might be revealed in his upcoming memoir. Others pointed to his recent estrangement from the royal family as potential motivation for a coordinated attack on his character and freedom. Supporters gathered outside Kensington Palace with signs reading "Free Harry" and "Truth for Diana." In the United States, where Harry had relocated in recent years, political figures called for international oversight of the case, questioning Britain's judicial process and the secrecy surrounding the trial. Prominent legal experts expressed grave concerns about the conviction. A secret trial, with evidence never subjected to public scrutiny, resulting in a verdict that defies logical timeline analysis. These are hallmarks of a judicial travesty, not justice, remarked one Harvard law professor. The confession that changed everything. Just as public opinion was coalescing around the belief that Harry had been framed, the case took another stunning turn. 1 week after the verdict was announced, Harry requested a television interview from his holding cell at an undisclosed maximum security facility. In a broadcast that would become the most watched television event in history, Harry appeared on screen looking haggard but composed. What followed was a 40-minute monologue that left viewers worldwide speechless. "The truth about my mother's death has been hidden for too long," he began. "While I maintain my innocence regarding the specific charges, there are aspects of that night that the world deserves to know." He then proceeded to outline a narrative so complex and disturbing that it challenged everything the public thought they knew about the royal family. He claimed that while he had not orchestrated his mother's death, he had discovered evidence years later suggesting involvement by other members of the royal family and British intelligence. According to Harry, his recent estrangement from royal duties and move to America had been motivated not by personal preference, but by his discovery of this evidence. "I couldn't continue to represent an institution that I believed was complicit in my mother's death," he stated. Most shocking was his assertion that he had been willing to accept conviction to protect his children. "There are forces at work that have made it clear to me that my children would be in danger if I revealed what I know," he said, his voice breaking. "This conviction, while based on fabricated evidence, serves their purpose of discrediting me while allowing me to protect those I love by maintaining certain secrets." He concluded with words that sent chills through viewers. "I say goodbye to freedom, knowing that someday the full truth will emerge. Until then, I accept this sentence as the price for my children's safety." The aftermath and unanswered questions. In the days following Harry's televised statement, the case became even more convoluted. Legal experts questioned how a defendant who maintained his innocence could be convicted in a fair trial. Intelligence analysts debated whether Harry's claims about threats to his children were credible or a desperate attempt to rationalize a legitimate conviction. The royal family remained silent, neither confirming nor denying Harry's implications of their involvement in Diana's death. This silence only fueled further speculation, with public opinion increasingly turning against the monarchy as questions mounted. Parliament convened an emergency session to discuss the constitutional implications of a convicted murderer in the line of succession, though far down the list. Legal scholars debated whether the conviction could be challenged in international courts, given the extraordinary nature of the secret trial. Meanwhile, Harry was transferred to an undisclosed prison facility, reportedly under constant surveillance to prevent any possibility of self-harm. Visitors were strictly prohibited, with even his legal team having limited access. The evidence disappears. 3 months after Harry's conviction, another shocking development occurred. The Ministry of Justice announced that the evidence used to convict Harry had been stolen during a sophisticated breach of government security systems. All digital records, including the enhanced security footage from the Ritz Hotel and the financial transaction records, had been completely wiped from government servers. The physical evidence, including original documents provided by the MI6 whistleblower, had disappeared from a supposedly impenetrable evidence vault. With the evidence gone, legal experts suggested that Harry's conviction should be overturned or at least reconsidered. However, the Lord Chief Justice issued a statement indicating that the verdict would stand as the evidence had been duly considered by the court before its disappearance. This extraordinary series of events only deepened public skepticism about the case. If the evidence was compelling enough to convict a royal prince of matricide, how could it have been so poorly protected? Was the theft a convenient way to prevent further scrutiny of potentially fabricated evidence? A nation divided, a family destroyed. As months passed, Britain found itself deeply divided. Polls showed that approximately half the population believed Harry was innocent and had been framed, while others accepted his guilt but questioned the circumstances surrounding his confession. A smaller percentage believed in his complete guilt and felt justice had been served for Diana. The monarchy's popularity plummeted to historic lows. King Charles, already advanced in age, appeared increasingly frail in his rare public appearances. There were whispers in political circles about the viability of the monarchy itself, with Republican sentiment growing stronger than at any time in modern British history. Prince William, now effectively the face of the monarchy's future, found himself in an impossible position, unable to defend his brother without potentially implicating his family in Diana's death, yet viewed with suspicion by a public that wondered about his own knowledge of the truth. Meghan and the children remained in the United States under tight security. Sources reported that all communication with Harry was monitored, with their children unable to have private conversations with their father. The documentary that shook the world. 1 year after Harry's conviction, a documentary was released simultaneously in multiple countries to avoid British legal injunctions. Titled The Prince's Tragedy, it featured interviews with former royal security personnel, intelligence officers, and forensic experts who systematically dismantled the timeline of the prosecution's case. Most compelling was testimony from Harry's former protection officers, who provided irrefutable evidence that he had been continuously under their supervision at Balmoral during the critical periods when he was allegedly in Paris. They risked prosecution themselves by revealing classified duty logs and security protocols that had previously been withheld from the defense. The documentary also introduced a facial recognition expert who demonstrated that the technology used to identify Harry in the Paris footage had been manipulated. Using the original algorithm rather than the modified version presented in court, the expert showed that the individual in the footage bore only a 23% similarity to Harry, far below the threshold for identification. Perhaps most damning was an interview with a former MI6 operations director who suggested that the entire case against Harry had been manufactured to prevent him from revealing what he had discovered about Diana's death. When a prince threatens to expose state secrets, conventional methods of silencing him are impossible, the intelligence veteran noted. Character assassination and false imprisonment become the only options. The final goodbye. 2 years into Harry's sentence, as legal challenges to his conviction gained momentum and public pressure for a retrial mounted, another shocking announcement came from the prison authorities. Prince Harry had been found dead in his cell, apparently by suicide. According to the brief official statement, he had left a note reading simply, "The truth dies with me. Keep them safe." No autopsy results were released, and his body was quickly cremated before independent examination could be arranged. Meghan released a statement questioning the suicide ruling and demanding an international investigation, but her voice was largely drowned out by the wave of memorials and retrospectives that followed Harry's death. The narrative quickly shifted from questions about his conviction to reflections on his troubled life. In a final twist that seemed to confirm the darkest suspicions, all pending legal challenges to Harry's conviction were administratively closed within days of his death. The judge who had been reviewing the appeal request recused himself without explanation and subsequently left the country. The legacy of doubt. Today, years after these extraordinary events, the truth about Princess Diana's death and her son's conviction remains obscured. The official record states that Harry was guilty of conspiring in his mother's murder and later took his own life in prison. But millions around the world remain convinced that this narrative conceals a far more disturbing reality. Annual vigils are held outside Buckingham Palace on the anniversary of both Diana's and Harry's deaths. Conspiracy theories continue to flourish, books and documentaries regularly revisit the case, and justice for Harry remains a rallying cry for those who believe in his innocence. The monarchy has never fully recovered from the scandal. While it continues to function, its mystique and public support have been permanently damaged. King Charles passed away not long after his son, with many attributing his decline to the stress of these events. William now reigns as a king forever shadowed by questions about his brother's fate and his own knowledge of the truth. Meghan and the children remain in America, where they live under assumed names, rarely seen in public. On the anniversary of Harry's death each year, an anonymous donor places lilies, Diana's favorite flower, on a bench in a London park with a card that reads simply, "The truth never dies. Only goodbye for now, not forever." For a public that once mourned a princess, then watched her sons grow up under the weight of that tragedy, the story's final chapter seems cruelly fitting. More questions than answers, more shadows than light, and a family destroyed by secrets that may never be fully revealed.